Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Essential Podcast. I'm super excited today. Today we'll be diving into the company Mr. Roofing, and we're lucky to have Mark Schmidt with us today, the CEO, the COO of the company, to give us some insights on what they're doing, what they've tried, and overall their experiences in the market. So without further ado, thanks for coming on, Mark. Want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Quade. Mark Schmidt. I'm the COO of Mr. Roofing, as you just said. Mr. Roofing is a 36-year-old roofing company serving the San Francisco Bay Area. Second generation owner, Miguel Rodriguez, started the company, and his son Carlos is now the CEO and owner.
Perfect. And explain the services that, I mean, it's in the name a little bit, but what do you guys specialize in? What are you doing day to day?
So we're generally a residential retail roofer. We also offer solar, gutters, skylights, things that go, kind of at or above the roof line. So mostly residential, few small commercial jobs. We're just wrapping up a large homeowners association out in Pacifica, right in the coast. But generally residential. But in the Bay Area, that's both sloped roofs with shingles and flat roofs. So we dabble in lots of roof types.
Okay, perfect. And, diving into the more commercial space, doing these bigger buildings, is that a new focus you guys have, or what direction are you guys going with that?
We specialize in a high touch selling process. So a lot of commercial jobs, it's just a bid, right? And we don't participate in that. But where there's a lot of stakeholders, like a homeowners association board of directors or something like that, a church where there's volunteer board members, and it's a longer and more involved selling process than just putting out a bid. Those are the commercial jobs where we're generally successful.
Okay. And in terms of the residential jobs, what's your guys' main way of going about getting those jobs, finding those interested customers?
Well, with 36 years of experience and shockingly high review scores across the platforms, we spend very little on marketing, about 3% historically, which is nothing in the home improvement space. Um, and most of that is just so people find us when they're looking for us on Google. Um, we are doing a little bit more now as we're really ramped up to grow. We're doing what's called job site mailing. So whenever there's a job on our schedule, send everybody on that postal route a little flyer saying, pardon our dust. If there's anything we can do to make it better, let us know. We'd love to your neighbor has selected us to do their roof. We'd love to come and help you with your roof issues as well. And my name and phone number is on those flyers we send to those homeowners.
Wow, super interesting. I've never heard that approach, but I really like it. Super unique. I mean, with your guys' experience, you're not. Sounds like you're not having to try super hard to get those new customers. But what would you say is like the toughest part of getting new customers and building that connection?
Um, well, you always want more customers, right? We feel so strongly that we are the best roofer in the Bay Area that we feel bad when someone else likes a lesser roofer. So we really want an at bat with every customer. Now, we're not right for every customer. We're a premium roofer. Some customers are always going to go with the lowest bid, and so that's not our customer. Um, but we want everybody to hear the Mr. Roofing story, hear the Mr. Roofing difference, and then make a choice that's best for them. So, when somebody is making a roofing choice, we absolutely want the chance to be in that living room and talking to them about the Mr. Roofing experience.
So would you say that maybe the toughest part is communicating that knowledge of your product and the importance of its value?
Yeah. So a lot of people are surprised when we get in the living room how involved our process is. We do a two-step selling process generally. The first step is a measure call where we ask 29 questions, and we usually use a drone then to take a picture of the roof, many pictures of the roof, to evaluate the problems they're having. And then often when the in-home consultant comes back and discusses with the team what the problems are, what our solutions can be, and they set up the next presentation, which is a very educational, consultative presentation that lasts at least 45 minutes, and it can go on up to 3 hours if people have lots of questions.
Interesting. Do you feel like, I mean, obviously that's to bring in a lot of value to customers. Do you feel like they sometimes get overwhelmed with that? Or I guess what kind of, responses do you get from your guys' more involved process?
Um, you know, it, it it works both ways, right? Some people are very pleased that we're different, and you know, if they're lucky, everybody's going to buy a roof once every 50 years, right? So they don't go through this process a lot. So they don't bring in to the roof buying process a lot of experience and knowledge about a roof. So almost everybody who goes through the process appreciates the education and the consultative approach, even if they don't choose us. They like that we've educated them and made them more comfortable in their contractor selection. And then, of course, a good percentage say, well, you guys did so good on helping me educate me as a homeowner that, I'd be foolish not to choose you to do my roof as well. Uh,
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Um, this process, as you said, it's bringing you guys a lot of success. You mentioned earlier that you kind of gearing up for a growth period almost, where you're looking to get more business. What does that look like on your end of things?
um, so really two things near term. Um, we want to be the community roofer. And for us, that means being more involved in the community events. So we're going to start going to farmers markets, arts and wine festivals, things like that in the local markets, and have more of a presence there. So event marketing is going to be a much bigger part of what we do going forward than it has been. And then we always love referrals. I don't think we've done a good job of really asking for them proactively. So we are transitioning one of our most experienced team members to be a brand ambassador, and she's going to go out at the conclusion of every project, help the homeowner, make sure the homeowner got the ideal Mr. Roofing experience, and then if they didn't, then walk them through it. Now we can get them to meet their expectations. And if they did, ask them, help them leave a review for us, and then ask for referrals. Because again, we've always had a lot of referrals, but that's kind of just been passive. Where if somebody asks their neighbor, "Hey, I like your roof," who did it? Well, Mr. Roofing. But we haven't asked people to really provide referrals, and so we're going to get just a little bit more proactive with that.
Super interesting, and I love how you're getting more involved in the community, really diving into those different events, and the referrals too. I find super interesting because I feel like those can play a pretty big role. I mean, for you guys, why is getting referrals from more customers important?
Well, it leverages your customer satisfaction scores, right? And our customer satisfaction scores are through the roof. So the extent we can get uh, our satisfied customers to tell other people that they've been very satisfied with their Mr. Roofing experience, right? That just makes the next sale that much easier, and that many more people are getting the Mr. Roofing experience. So it should be exponential growth when we keep having people refer us to their friends and neighbors.
Is it typically like as of right now, it's a follow up call after, or how are you guys getting those reviews?
Yeah, we were using an app called the Get the Referral. That didn't work real well for us. So yes, it is a little bit more of a phone call right now, but we are looking for a brand ambassador who's going to go to the house, take a selfie, make sure everything's all right, um, ask them to post a review right then, and then ask for a referral as well. So there'll be a whole call script when you go to the house. Our marketing manager, Maria, who's just super big personality, super high energy, really good brand ambassador for Mr. Roofing, will be taking on that role at least initially, until we, hire a team to do it. But that's what we're going to look for is people who are great brand ambassadors, really people good representative of us, and just ask for a referral, right? It's sometimes, just the act of asking and the act of asking in person is a pretty strong indicator that you'll get referrals.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious, as we're talking about these referrals, about you know other systems that you guys are using, different various tools. I mean, from the time you get the customer to the time you're going up for that follow-up appointment. Um, a lot of companies feel like there's a part of the process that's maybe slower, could be better. I mean, we just talked about the reviews, but other than that, do you guys feel like there's a specific part of the process that's typically more difficult, that has the most people fall off or anything like that?
Um, I'm reading a book called Endless Customers. Great book, really making me rethink a bunch of stuff. Um, our process, we measure when they call us, how many, what percent of those calls lead to appointments. That number is really high. It's like 95%. And generally the ones that aren't booking appointments are out of our service territory. A few want an appointment that day, and we just can't do that. But most of them are out of service territory. So our call to appointments very high. Our appointment to, actually having the appointment, so not canceling, not a no-show, that's pretty high. So that's pretty good. And then we're at two called close. So uh, we track from the first call, which we call a measure call, to the presentation call. That number's pretty high, on the order of 80%. Um, so all those numbers are pretty good. And I think we could still do better on just touch points in between, particularly between measure call and the presentation. Give them some homework on some of the things we might be presenting in the presentation call. Hey, check out these two manufacturers' websites and see which product you prefer. Start thinking about what color of shingle you want on your roof. Those types of things. I think giving them homework between that first and second visit's important, and we're going to put a little bit more time and effort into that.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, you guys obviously have a really streamlined process. People are sticking around, people are making those next steps. I guess for you in your position, what are you typically spending the most time on solving?
Well, as chief operating officer, I am kind of over everything, so I just got to make sure all the little uh, items are moving forward at the same rate, right? We can't have sales way ahead of production, and we can't have production way ahead of sales and things like that. So, are we getting enough leads to fill our sales capacity? Our sales team closing at the right rate? And then once they close, does our production team have enough bandwidth to uh, install the roofs in a timely fashion, right? So the homeowner's not waiting 6 months for a roof. So depending on which week and certainly which month we're in, right, one of those is behind the other two, and so we're always looking at which one we need to move forward.
That's perfect. Um, I mean, yeah, I really like that. Uh, with you taking all those different actions, and I mean, you guys are progressing in a lot of different ways, getting ready for that next step. I'm curious, have you guys ever looked into, have you guys dived into those new, AI tools that are coming out in any way or form?
Absolutely. I live here in San Francisco, right? Have been in Silicon Valley most of my professional career, so we're very tech leaning. About a year ago at various conferences, I saw AI companies saying, especially for contractors saying, hey, we've got these AI tools to have conversations with homeowners. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. AI doesn't make mistakes. AI doesn't call in sick. AI doesn't have a bad day. Yeah, I'm super interested. But those early tools were all text based. Because the voice just wasn't there. There was too much latency, and so it was not an authentic conversation. Uh, Fast forward, and so I said, I'm just going to wait till it gets to voice, right? These tech solutions aren't super. These texting AI solutions aren't real interesting to me. I'm going to wait till there's a voice equivalent, and lo and behold, and so I just kind of set my point at which I was going to jump in as this. And lo and behold, earlier this calendar year, somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, we've got this AI voice system." I'm like, "Yes, let me take a look." And so we started it with just after hours because it was better than just taking a message. But like I said,
She doesn't call in sick. She doesn't have a bad day. She follows a script, right? She doesn't skip any steps. And so her voice is called Dakota, so we call her Dakota. So she's great. So we've started implementing her even within business hours. When I have people available to take call, I like to have Dakota answer calls because again, she doesn't make mistakes, right? She doesn't have a bad day. There's no background noise, right? Although one of the voice uh, vendors that I didn't choose for because they didn't integrate with my calendar, but that was a really good tool. They actually had artificial call center noises in the background, just to make it seem like it was a real call center calling. So there's all kinds of cool stuff going on there. And then this last conference, there was a handful of vendors there all doing AI voice. So my guidance to people would be have a entitled state in mind, a vision where you want it to be, and if the technology's not there, it's going to be there soon. So just have in mind what you want it to do for you, and just wait till you find the vendor that can do it. It might not be today, it might be 6 months, but it's moving so fast. It'll be there sooner rather than later.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love you guys are hopping in that very quickly, especially for the size of your company. It shows you're doing a good job integrating those new technologies and things. Um,
Well, they're not costly, right? It is just it's my time to investigate them, right? And to have set up have spent time thinking about what I want the tool to do, right? Rather than just responding to a vendor's pitch. I've got my checklist of what I want it to do, and of the 10, how many of those 10 items do you hit or not hit? So there's a little bit of that, and we somewhat benefit by being in this market where a lot of people work in tech, and certainly a lot of people are exposed to tech, right? San Francisco has Waymo driverless taxis, right? So people are quite comfortable with technology in our area. So yeah, our response to this AI call center representative has been quite positive.
I'd love to give you a hypothetical. I mean, as you're diving into these, and you said you have this list of, hypothetically, you have this so-called list of 10 things that you'd want something to do. If you had, a couple $1 million to, build out your own AI and the own system, and what would you want it to do?
uh, an AI version of this, right? A face that's talking to somebody via a virtual video call, right?
Mm,
Just having a virtual salesperson, right, who follows the Mr. Roofing selling process to a T, never deviates, never has a bad day, never prejudges the homeowner, right? All these things that humans do. Um, I'd love to get to a virtual AI sales presentation.
that'd be super quiet, and that's a great. I love that idea too. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for sharing all your insights. I mean, I got to say, there's a lot of different roofing companies and things out there, but it's obviously, I mean, you guys are both very personal and like a community level, but then also very wide scale and effective in your operations. Um, so, I mean, I don't know, was that there when you came in, or was that more something that you've been helping them with?
So Carlos hired me because he wanted to take it to the next level, right? And so I appreciate the opportunity, and I built up enough trust to some of these things I've built out, like the AI call center representative and things like that. And because they're so cheap, right? I'm not betting the farm on something, right? A couple of bad months it cost me maybe $5,000, and then we pull the plug, right? So he gives me a lot of confidence. One, because I've earned it, but two, because these things are relatively low risk things to try, right? It's mostly your time and bandwidth. It's not a lot of dollars, so. Yeah, we're willing to try a lot of things.
There you go.
And another, to use another Silicon Valley phrase, we fail fast, right? We have pulled the plug and stuff when it wasn't working, but again, the dollar investment was relatively minimal, and we move on to the next thing.
There you go. Well, perfect. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for all the insights you gave. I guess before we close, let's say someone is in the Bay Area and they're looking for a new roof, or maybe they're a roofer looking for a new job. What's the best way to get in contact with you guys?
MrRoofing.net is our website. But if you want to talk to our AI bot, try us particularly after hours. Make sure you get a hold of Dakota. Our number is 650-872-3232.
Perfect. Well, thank you for everything today. Thank you for everyone for listening in. Be sure to check out the website. Super, super great, interesting company. And thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thanks for having me, Quaid.